welcome to, I should always know this, number 17th regular meeting of the Board of Directors. There.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to the 17th regular meeting. The first part of the meeting tonight will be a public hearing on the proposed land purchase of, this just happens to work out really well, of the field across the road. And to begin with, we're going to have two phases. One, Superintendent Carey will be making a presentation about the proposed purchase, and then we'll open public comments, or public hearing, suggestions, questions. It's a free-for-all until this comes up.
I'm going to start going by just my first name.
Yep.
Okay.
Superintendent Carey.
Just call me Carey, me and Cher. All right. So if you've seen the recording, I put it out there into the community on Facebook, but I'll just be super quick to just remind everybody of what the board is looking to do. So the land that Peter talked about is across from where we are right now. It's 18 acres, and the tax map lots are there. It is right nestled between Cobb Road and North Parish Road. The two goals that the board has for this is to create 2 additional multi-use fields, and these would be just for any field sport. We're not necessarily looking to build baseball or softball fields. It would be more for lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, anything like that. And then also to build a transportation facility so that we can move the transportation department off of the Levitt Area High School facility, and also deal with diesel and gas tanks for bulk purchasing. So currently the athletic fields that we have, this is sort of the bird's eye view of them. We have sort of the track, a practice field, football field, field hockey field, baseball field crammed in behind the high school. We have sort of like a Z-shaped field at the middle school that in the fall is used for soccer and football. And in the spring, I think, are they playing lacrosse on there now? No, because it's the outfield for baseball and softball. I always forget that. So in the spring, it's baseball and softball. And then we have one field here next door at Turner Primary School that is used in the fall by middle school field hockey, and then this spring with lacrosse teams. So we have added the sport of lacrosse. Shout out to the Green Youth Athletic. They have built an amazing program that a lot of kids have gravitated to. And so it's really, we have 6 teams this year playing for the high school and the middle school. So it's grown very quickly, and we do not have space for it. And Green Youth Athletic is struggling to find space for it as well. So the other thing that I just want to point out, so when I did this, people were like, you have the map twice. The other piece that I just wanted to address is we know, and this actually, the Tri-Town Select Board meeting last night, we talked a little bit about the intersection between Turner Center Road, where Jimmy's is, coming from Upper Street. Kids are using that intersection all the time, and there are safety concerns there. So part of this project would be for us to try and address that. We may try and start working on that sooner rather than later based on the conversation from last night's meeting, but we know we need to address parking on Cobb Road and students getting between the high school and the middle school and Turner Primary. The great thing about this location is the kids can walk down. We don't have to worry about busing them somewhere else or anything like that, so it's really accessible for them. So for transportation, we have 24 buses, 18 vans, and a minibus. Everybody wants to know why we have so many vans. We don't want that many vans, but for the safety of all students who are riding on buses, when we have students who struggle to behave appropriately on a bus and might harm other students, they have needs to be in a smaller transportation location. Those vans are really what is dedicated to that. We also transport students who are experiencing homelessness with their families, and so if they need transportation from another district, we provide that as well. So there's a lot of reasons why we have 18 vans, but in case anybody's curious, we wish we didn't have 18 vans. We'd like to reduce that number. But the transportation department is also in the high school. It has an office that's in a former classroom with walls that don't quite go up to the ceiling. There's not a lot of privacy or confidentiality there. Plus, they've taken over some storage in the high school. So we'd like to just move all of that out. In addition, and I'm sure Evan can speak to this, the traffic issues that are in the back of the high school when there's ever an event are pretty significant. Buses struggling to get into their parking spot, when we have parents, grandparents, community members coming in for games, track meets, all of that. So we feel like moving this to a different location will really relieve that. We also are facing a problem with our diesel tanks. So this is the intersection between Turner Elementary School, Tripp Middle School, where the library is in Turner. We have diesel tanks there, and they are nearing end of life. I think March 2027, I think, is when they will no longer, they will be able to continue to use them unless a problem develops. And once a problem develops with them, we will not be able to use them anymore. So we're sort of like right on that edge of whether or not we'll be able to continue to purchase diesel and fuel our buses. We do not have gas tanks. We very much want gas tanks. Those 18 vans are gas powered, and we'd like to purchase gas in bulk. And then we are looking for reserve funds. This year's budget, FY27 budget, includes a reserve account for the purchase of land. $500,000 is in that. It is not something that's in the budget. It is something that the board wanted to use reserve funds from. So if that reserve fund is approved at the district budget meeting, then the ballot question for purchasing the land will allow us to do that. So we're doing this public hearing right now. Welcome, thank you for coming. That's great, fantastic. And this is the actual question. So on May 21st, when folks go to the town offices to vote, they'll have a ballot for the school budget and a second ballot that is specific to purchasing land. And there's a note there that it is designated reserve fund for purchasing that land. So hopefully, people here will put May 21st on their calendar between the hours of 1 and 7 at your town office. And so expect 2 ballots when you go in to do that. And then obviously call, email, any questions, anything like that. But that's the thing, that's what we're doing.
Thank you very much, Superintendent.
I'm gonna put this back on just the property map, just for questions if you have.
Before we go any further, I just want to emphasize one aspect about this, and because it's been brought up a lot. We had, because a big portion of this is sports fields, a big option here. We had concerns and problems with sports fields long before lacrosse. So I want to emphasize, and unfortunately, these fields are being tied solely to lacrosse, and I just want to say that at least in my mind, that's not the case. I remember 2 years ago, long before we even had, long before we had lacrosse on our radar, we were constantly fighting over field space for all the different sports with the growth of all of our, football and soccer fighting back and forth and all this. So even though you see lacrosse pitchers a lot and you hear lacrosse, the sports fields are needed for, all growth across all the way across. So it's kind of an open for board and the community. So if you wish to stand, if you wish to think, just please stand. I'm going to ask that we do it very similar from the community, that you say your name and the town you're from. This was going to be part of my later report from the board chair, but I'm just going to bring it up now. I'm going to be enacting a much stricter rule about when you speak. I'm going to request that you actually stand up and potentially come forward or really project. We've had a few questions or complaints that they can hear the board for the most part, but they can rarely, if ever, hear the public's responses or questions through our little owl friend here. So with any luck, within a meeting or two, we're going to have microphones, but so expect me to be asking everybody to stand and really project or even potentially come forward. So, Bree?
Well, I just, for point of order, for this conversation time, do you want board to hold questions until after public comment? Or you're just going to bounce back and forth?
We're going to bounce it. This is a forum. Board has had a lot of opportunity and has more opportunity, so if you want to, please feel free to bring in questions. It's really for the public at hand, but we're open to all of us. So if the board has questions, please, or if anybody from the public has questions, concerns, or it can be a very quick meeting. Does anybody have any thoughts about it, concerns, want to promote the fact of it, or want to stand against it?
I have a question, but I have a cold, so.
Okay, that's fine.
My name is Marina Wadsworth, I live in Turner.
Yep.
I just had a question about the diesel tanks for the transportation to be next to the river. That was my concern, so I just wanted to know what.
And I know,
Repeat it.
yeah, and I'm going to repeat, and someone will step in if I'm wrong here. But the question that was asked was about the diesel or fuel tanks, because it'll be diesel and gasoline with any luck, near the river. I suspect we're not going to spend any money on the actual developing a plan until we actually know we own the property. But our initial thought, one, we do know that it is permitted on the property. And two, I suspect, and this is a complete suspect, that when the final design comes in, the tanks will be as far away from the water, probably close to where Jimmy's tanks are, up in that corner. Yeah, and we have an engineer sitting right here, who's also, there'll be some more requirements. You just mentioned like secondary retaining requirements since it's potentially in that area. But I do not foresee the tanks way off on the left. I would be amazed. But until we see those designs, but the board doesn't want to spend that bunch of money on the designs until the property's in our possession. Did you?
No, I mean, I think there's like tiered rules based on how close you are to a resource, and we'd be following all state laws regarding that too. So no one wants to get fuel in the river, certainly not me.
And that was a major concern at the Tri-Towns, which I think Superintendent Med brought up.
So we did have an engineering firm evaluate the property and consult with a DEP and all that so that we would know, because we didn't want to enter into an option to purchase it if we didn't think we could meet the needs that we had, so.
So thank you. That was there somebody, anything else? I think, please stand.
Hello, Calvin Rink, also a Turner, 18 Pearl Road. Just wanted to say absolutely in favor of this, love the idea. I do have a young lad here who is on the lacrosse program, also is on the travel lacrosse program, so visiting other states. But the idea of having a large field right in the center of town, conveniently next to Jimmy's, right next to the schools where these young lads and young, females can also now have teams, can go down and play right there is a fantastic idea. He's also a fisherman, so loves to be down there fishing underneath the bridge. We're working on that. But again, just really the idea of, and as you mentioned, yes, a design for lacrosse fields, but the boy, kids are looking to play pickup soccer games, pickup lacrosse games, just anything out there, and the idea of having a central area where kids can play out there, and as parents, just sit on the side of the road or whatever, like, I personally love the idea, so I think it's a great idea, and I'm absolutely all for it. So thank you for all that you're doing on this.
Thank you. I think that was loud enough. I don't need to repeat it.
Yeah, I agree.
think so.
Nice,
Checking.
good job.
Yeah, it's very good. You could teach.
Teacher voice.
Anybody from the board have anything they want to brief?
So you had mentioned about trying to make the intersection at Jimmy's a little safer for when students are walking down there. So I'm just curious to know what falls on our backs for school board versus what falls on towns. Like, if you're putting in a light, that would be town sidewalks.
Yep.
Like,
So we actually, this conversation, there was a Tri-Town Select Board meeting last night, and the conversation actually came up, and I'm gonna work with Kurt Schaub, the town manager, to reach out to the DOT and the people in charge of safety and start to put this intersection on their radar, because at least one of the selectmen's like, I think we might need a light there. Like, I don't know what they would do, but I agree with you. Some of it is stuff that, we'll probably need to work on a sidewalk, but we can't like change an intersection, right? We don't have any
but
power
it
over
is
that.
crazy in general.
So I think we'll start that work, Kurt and I will sort of communicate, and he said, if the school is participating in that and helping to put it on the DOT's radar, that it will help. So, yeah.
Because I know we had talked about that with like crosswalks and blinking lights for when, you know, students are trying to cross the street, would there be like a blinking crosswalk kind of sign, things like that, like,
Yeah.
I just on those lines, and I don't think it hurts to have our consultants come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
They can be used as suggestions.
Yeah.
But I absolutely think you're right. I mean, the actual cost of the construction of those improvements is not going to be just ours to bear.
Exactly.
Hopefully not.
And I know that Upper Street is a state maintained road. I don't know about North Parish. So the whole line's a state maintained road, so the state's gonna definitely be involved. And I'm gonna guess there's gonna be some pushback on a light simply because of the hill. That I can see some issue with that hill.
Just at least one
No,
light
but no,
that
no,
Yeah,
goes
and I was just
across.
repeating what
No, no,
somebody
no, no,
else said.
I brought up that God forbidden thing called a roundabout, or a rotary. But again, it's that
But
whole,
even if
having to
it's a
stop
blinking
coming
yellow,
down the hill is
like,
gonna be an
at
issue.
least slow them down at a blinking
Yeah.
yellow. It's
Or
like 5 streets.
Change the
that-
many entrances you can around there.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, just to build off what you had said earlier, Peter, about this is an existing problem prior to lacrosse. I mean, there's been conversations around perhaps trying to build some kind of turf facility at the school for a long time. The intensity of use on our fields has been extreme. And there's really like, you can try to put turf down to be more robust or spread it out. And I think by spreading it out, some of the activity onto these additional fields is certainly something that's helping all of our sports programs, not just lacrosse here. So just to further.
The turf idea was brought up at we'll call it a sub-meeting at an earlier time, and it was surprising the kickback we got on the change. The turf is no longer like the gold standard all the time nowadays because of some injury thoughts and so forth. So, anything else? Anybody else have any questions, thoughts?
One question.
Yes, please.
So, Cindy Shrepper, I live here in Turner. When you addressed the crossing of the kids coming down to play at the new proposed location, they would still be crossing through that intersection like they do now. So
That's why we need to address
that's huge.
the current, I mean, we already have a problem. If we never purchase this land and don't build these fields, we have a problem we need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, the vote that takes place on
May 21st?
Thank you. May 21st is just about purchasing that piece of property. Nothing about that vote is any money, any direction or anything towards the intersection, towards building, towards anything. That is just to purchase the piece of property because, you know, these are once in a lifetime opportunities. Land doesn't keep forming, fortunately. So after we know we purchase it, then we'll be looking, I catch it. Then we'll be looking at all of the other options and things, and like Superintendent Med said, the crossing area is an issue. It's just gonna become a bigger issue if we put fields over there. But, I'm trying to think, I think that was clear enough, but the question from the audience was primarily around the necessity of doing something about the intersection regardless of the purchase. But if anybody did not hear. Anthony?
To that issue, if there's, I mean, unless there's extra parking here, if there's parking up where the schools, you know, Levitt and the middle school are and such, anybody who's coming to see those games is going to be walking down to here too. So there could be extra foot traffic that way. So not just this typical student traffic that we see now.
Does anybody have anything else? All right. Once again,
Can I had a conversation right before this started, so I just wanted to bring that up. So I think I heard some question around, if we build a transportation building, is it gonna be ugly? Is it, you know, are we gonna be concerned with where we are in Turner and sort of being respectful of being in the village? And I think that that's really great commentary to hear, so that that's part of the design process. If we get to that point and we get lucky enough to be able to do that, is to make sure that whatever facility is built there, that it's something that matches, you know, where we are in Turner, because there's a lot of great buildings around here, and it's a beautiful space. So I just wanted to say that out loud.
And to piggyback on that, there was some conversation about, because we say transportation building, I just want to emphasize, there is not even the hint of a thought of us putting in a maintenance, kind of like doing all our maintenance, big garages, so forth and so on. We're talking basic, we're not looking to make that into a big shop area or anything. We just need a place for the bus drivers to meet, and I think storage, and nothing's really significant. We're not looking to have 12 bays there to work on our buses, work on our vans, parts, and all that stuff. That's not the idea for this. The real idea is parking. Parking for buses and place to deal with the buses has been an issue since I've been on the board, which has been a very long time in a couple different stints. And we've tried to look at many different places, work with many different towns on trying to make it work. And our current situation really isn't feasible. It's working, but isn't feasible. Please, Miss.
Again, Maria from Turner. My other question is I think it's a great idea for the fields. I'm all on board with that. But I'm questioning, is it a possibility that we look for other alternatives for the transportation portion, buses, the parking garage, and so forth, being a different location from the field itself being utilized for sports?
The question from the audience was primarily around if the land was purchased, if it could be potentially all fields and maybe look at other options for transportation, which is always an option, but I think our goal for this, we're leaning towards this for the bus garages, bus parking, and I'm sure when we go out to bid for the developers or the designers, it'll be taken into account that nobody wants to see the buses, to be honest with you. Nobody wants to see the buses, the bus garage. I'm sorry if you're a bus driver or if you love the buses, but, it's kind of nice to have them hidden, but, yeah.
So we actually did look, a couple goals that we did want to focus on was we wanted to keep the buses relatively close to the schools, because if we build a bus garage, 5 miles down the road, we might be able to find that land, but then we have concerns around the amount of diesel that we're spending to move the buses, all that, and they're going to the other towns. We didn't want to extend the distance they were traveling already. And we did reach out to another landowner and didn't have any luck. So we did sort of look around and try to identify potential land, and just had concern about the distance from the schools, because really these 4 of the 6 schools that we operate are right here. So to have the buses sort of in a distant, sometimes they're coming home late, basketball games, they'll come back at 10 o'clock at night, like just making sure that we've got things close by was sort of the goal. And this property was the property we actually heard from the landowner, they, and expressed interest, as opposed to other attempts that didn't go anywhere.
Joe?
Just to add on to what Carrie said, I mean, we've been going through a pretty comprehensive master planning process for the campus, and those 3 things were all things that we identified. It's like these diesel, like Carrie said, the diesel tanks, where the bus circulation is a problem. We need more field, like space. We need to get some intensity, like reduce the intensity on our fields. And it started to really feel like, goodness, we just need more space in order to kind of shift some of these uses off. And so when this became an opportunity, it was just a real easy way to, well, goodness, we can cover all of these things on this new piece of property. And we have looked, like Carrie said, at other properties. I mean, there are still planning exercises to go. There's still a lot of design to come. So it's hard, we've got a vision for this, but I think the final details, whether we can work in some kind of screening so it's not as visually obstructive, or like you highlighted some making sure we're doing our proper due diligence and best management practices with the diesel tanks and those types of things. That's all to come.
Yes, please.
Zach Caldwell from Turner, Maine. Really appreciate your guys' work on this. I think, let's see, when people hear, this is from what I've seen on Facebook and myself, when you hear transportation building and you're not maybe in the space, I'm in drain cleaning and septic repair, so I'm a dirty job. But your mind probably can run to different things, and like, I'm just not quite sure what that looks like, you know? And so I think even if it doesn't pass, maybe getting that just to picture, because I actually ended up talking to Dee Dee, and just to get a gauge, and after talking with her, I had a lot more confidence in, understanding and maybe kind of what it was going on there. So I could see a potential possibility of being maybe some uncertainty. Like if I'm looking at this, I don't quite know where is the building, where's the field, and if you're not in the space, you don't know. And you guys are solving great problems for like, you know, a big vision 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Love the work. Anyway, that's probably maybe a little bit of from what I've seen in that. But yeah, I appreciate the work, appreciate what you guys are doing, and I have good confidence that those things you guys, I'm not doing anything revolutionary. You've thought about what that looks like, and just other people, I think your mind runs, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think what's hard is that we are working with an architect to try and develop some plans to solve some other problems in other buildings. And so the question is, do we pay them to do a little work on this when we don't even know we own the land yet, and then we've spent all that money and can't do anything with it? So I think that's been a little bit what we wrestled with. But I think it's great feedback if it doesn't pass and we decide, and you know, the board decides to give it another try, that could be something that we look at.
Please, Tim.
Hi, Raylan Manson, 58 Cobb Road. So I know you guys said that you guys don't have a lot of designs in place for all of this huge project yet.
We
but
have no designs in place.
Has there been any mention when you guys are discussing the designs of any type of parking if these fields happen? Because, I mean, if we're talking 2 additional fields right there, we already have one field here, and when there's sporting events going on at that one field, the congestion on Cobb Road just from one sporting event happening, if there happens to be 2 sporting events happening at one time, all of this congestion on Cobb Road, I have kids, my neighbor has kids, it's a huge concern of traffic and all of that stuff, so.
The traffic on thank you, and the traffic on Cobb Road is a constant discussion we are having. It came up last night at the Tri-Towns about how to, again, even if the project doesn't go through, we still know we have concerns with the traffic on Cobb Road and so forth. But yes, parking, probably not enough. That's always the case, it seems like. But parking will be definitely part of the discussion, for sure, in the planning. Joe?
There's going to be a lot more public hearing about whatever gets designed and out there. I mean, I probably including a planning board, you know, hearing. I mean, we're talking.
Turner was emphatic about planning board, I want you to know, which is weird.
Yeah.
Emphatic about it.
This
It
is.
being that close is just unsettling.
Oh, I understand. There's a lot of details to be worked out, how they get used, and this is, like Peter said, this is just about the land purchase right now. The actual details of what happens is to come.
Our goal is when it's done, if this gets done, one of the goals is to be in a better place with traffic, with traffic flow, people flow, and parking in the area as a whole. You know, have this project also help work on that particular problem as well.
So I just want to, I think you guys are selling yourself short, because you guys have been working on this for at least 2 years and figuring out where to put these things. And there's a lot of consideration about using space behind our existing fields at the high school. And it's unusable because of wetlands and slope. So this wasn't something that last week we decided, hey, we're gonna look at this piece of property on Cobb Road. This was the next best option after having exhausted all of the options of the real estate that the district already owns, as well as looking at where we might put the diesel tanks with traffic congestion, whether that's this intersection or the one by the middle school. So I'm just mentioning this to the board, don't undersell yourselves on the time you've spent in doing that due diligence and investigating other options. Because I think that speaks volumes for your dedication to try to find the best spot for the district at both a financial level and a spatial one.
And I sure we all know that if this goes through, you know, don't expect your kids on the field next year.
Yeah.
Nothing goes that quick. Evan might have the buses there pretty quick, but.
We throw some gravel down.
Come with your tractor.
Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add or concerns they'd like to bring up? Yes, please.
Sorry, I'm short over here, but my
We
name is
see ya.
Ray. I live at 64 Cobb Road. And my concern is, I do not see buses on that land at all, or a gas tank. I do not see potential space for that. The school is growing. You have, how many vans? 20?
18,
18 vans, close. How many buses?
24.
You're gonna put 18 vans and 24 buses on that land, and I can't see a field out there. Cannot visualize that. I can see 18 vans and whatever the bus is on there, but there's no playing field. Absolutely not.
So when the engineering firm evaluated the land, they sort of did a layover of like how much space and could you fit 2 fields there and the parking and all that, and they did sort of took that to do that.
Without taking windows, smashing windows or anything like that. You got
What do you mean by smashing
From the
windows?
balls.
Oh.
Oh, on the field, on the buses? Okay,
I was like, I know.
I'm looking at the neighbors going,
Well, that's another concern, you know, we're neighbors, you know,
Yep.
and it's like, I cannot see 18 buses on there or whatever it is and have a game field. Look at the land you have here, how many fields do you have on this property?
this one?
Yeah, this one.
This is one field, but remember, this is actually, it's a much bigger piece of property than, the field doesn't take up the, it looks, if you just had the field out of it, it would be a much smaller piece of property than, where am I? Wherever it is, over there maybe? Over there? Over there, thank
So
you.
basically, your bottom dollar for that piece of land is 500,000 or 550,000 or whatever.
Bye-bye.
That's just for the land.
Yes.
What about DeCosta's? You got buildings. You got everything you need there for vans, buses, shops, and fields. And fields. And you got enough land there to build all the schools on that one property. If that's in the budget. I'm just saying to myself, you know, this is all flat land, all good fertilized lands that you get on there. So you can grow crops too. You know, there could be something else you want to add to the school. You know, show people how to grow their own vegetables, have their own gardening. You know, instead of being all in one confined area. I was just mentioned it to her, and she's not gonna stand up and say anything, but I am. So I would definitely even look into DeCosta's. It's all flat. You got the buildings you need. And actually, you can tear some down or whatever, but you can have a metal shop in there for high school. All kinds of stuff in there. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, thank you very much. And DeCosta's is a big chunk with a big question mark sitting over it, that's for sure. But unfortunately, it's not in our budget line at this point for what they're asking for it. Anybody else?
Just a curiosity question. Is that overview available? Would that help people understand and appreciate what you want to do?
Yeah, I probably could get the image of it. I mean, it's not like a done thing, but that, yeah.
It's very conceptual, and I think it was done as kind of a way to demonstrate that stuff could fit, but I don't think it's anywhere near something we actually
that's
want to
obviously not what
do.
you want to do
Yeah.
exactly.
And one of the concerns was, it was more of a, can this property work before we
Yeah.
proceed?
Yeah.
Because it's not like we don't want people to start thinking, oh, this is what it's gonna, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, no,
Yeah, you
no.
don't-
It was just like, will it fit? Because our goal was 2 fields. The question brought from the audience was whether or not the overview mentioned earlier was available to see. And that was the discussion afterwards. So we don't have it with us.
Yeah.
So that was something we could pop up, I don't believe so.
Yeah. My fear of circulating too much is that people will be like, oh, so that's where the field's going, but it was not for that
I
purpose.
appreciate that part too.
I'm picturing 3 rectangles, and like, this takes, this takes, this takes, and you can fit, kind of like what we did in elementary school.
Jenga.
Or whatever. All right, anybody else from the board or any questions, concerns? All right, I'm not seeing any of you. Okay. So that brings us to an end of our public hearing on the proposed land purchase. And I thank you all for coming, if that is the reason, but we have a lot going on, so we'd love to have you stay and watch the rest of what we got going on. It's very exciting stuff.
You have a plug in down there?
I guess so, if there's a place to plug.
Here.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you all very much for coming.
That was a good turnout. It wasn't for whatever.
Good? That's good.
All right, that takes us on to the minutes of April 9th. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments they'd like to make on the minutes from April 9th? Not seeing any. We'll accept them as presented. That moves us on to report by the board chair. Basically, I usually use this time to bring forward a discussion we had kind of out of some discussion we had on emails and so forth, and just to bring it forward. First of all, I did the Turner residents, I know for a fact, got us a question in regards to the budget, to the proposed budget, some other questions around special ed and so forth, which I tried to answer as best I could. One of the part that came out of that was also the request to do a better job at making this more able to be heard by on the online system. So we're going to work on that. There was some confusion around the national anthem, which being permitted to be used or said at sporting events. So there was an email to clarify it, and which caused some concern and some confusion. Long story short, nothing has changed with our national anthem. It's still being used in the exact same way it's been used for the past, I don't know how many years. Simply, at all football games and basketball games, it's played at every event. Otherwise, primarily due to time constraints, especially in the fall, it's played during truly special evenings like playoffs or senior nights and so forth. But there has been no changes, contrary to some of the concerns floating around the community. Everything is staying the same, and all the flags that we had are still there and are still used and so forth. Also, it came to my attention, and then I sent an email about, and since I sent the email to the board regarding it, more information has come to my attention, that of a court case in Augusta, I believe, in regards to public comment, which could potentially change some of how we permit public comment and comments to be made. So that will be coming probably before the subcommittees, and as a policy update sometime early next year, after the summer, once all the ramifications of it and we see what we can do to keep it as peaceful as possible. But we probably will have to make some changes on that. And lastly, I requested of Carrie that at some point in the next 2 or 3 meetings prior to the end of this session, our session, I guess we call it, our year, I would like to have a work session just to quickly go over, like we did last year, how we feel the budget process worked, as well as how the subcommittees work, and exactly what we want the subcommittees, if we feel they're accomplishing what they need to accomplish, if we need to work on them a little bit. You'll see it on one of the upcoming agendas. So just something to start thinking about. The budget, again, we did that, but when it comes to subcommittees, we have what's the term for it? What we call them, the subcommittees, the sentence we all had to come up with.
Oh, the charge.
We have the charge, but to me the charge is important, but it's also like the baseline or the base of it. So that's so thoughts on it, especially from our departing members. I want to make sure to get their voice in because they've experienced it. So just something to be thinking about. You'll see it coming up. And I think that's about all I had under the report from myself. Does anybody have any questions on those, Bree?
Refresh my memory, please. Do we also do like an end of year, like, board evaluation? Because I feel like it's been a little while since we've like sat down and like, I know
Did we
we
have
usually
that as-
start at the beginning of
Do
the
we
year.
have that as a set?
To sort of make it, and then I think we had said we wanted to try to do better and do like a mid-year check-in, but mid-year has come and gone, so I just was curious if we're gonna also be sort of like talking about subcommittees, we might as well, that might be a good time to also throw in just in general.
Was it a written board evaluation?
We do a formal evaluation at least once a year.
Yep.
And we normally do it at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But through some of the comments we had during our evaluations, we talked about doing like a mid-year check-in,
Right.
which I don't know if we're doing great with this mid-year check-in,
No.
no. But,
I don't think it happened. That's what I was wondering.
But
So, like-
typically, it's the, our first meeting, so.
So let's, well, Karen and I will talk about it, and we'll see if we
Yeah.
can send, we'll see what it looks like, and, yeah, it basically can be a wherewithal of how we, moving forward,
Mhm.
a board check-in, subcommittee
Since we missed
check-in,
one,
and
we
a
should
budget
try to get
check-in.
one in
A
before-
full check-in. So, yeah, no. Anybody else have any questions or thoughts on these few things? All right, I hope they all understood. In the emails, I didn't get any feedback on them, so I'm sure they were understood. That takes us to public comment. This is open public comment. Do we have anybody wishing to comment this evening? All right, hold on one second, please. Our board meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying out the official business of our schools. It is important to note that meetings of the board are open to the public. However, they are not public forums. At each full meeting of the board, time is allocated to provide opportunities for citizens and employees to express opinions, concerns related to the matters under consideration by the board. These comments shall be within the guidelines set forth in policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings. Copies of the policy are available here and on the district's website. I would like to highlight the following. The chair is responsible for recognizing all speakers. We ask that speakers identify themselves by sharing the names and town of residence. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes to express their views. Speakers should direct all comments to the board, specifically the board chair. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to the opinions of the public that relate to school and educational matters. It is not intended to be a conversation or a debate of issues. We know that school-related issues can be emotional, but we ask that civility is maintained. We will not permit profanity, gossip, defamatory comments, shouting at one another, or comments that disparage or attack individuals or groups. The board is faced with many important issues. For the sake of efficiency, the board discourages duplication or repetition of comments. The board will not permit complaints or allegations against staff members. We certainly care about these concerns, but they are personnel matters which the board is not permitted to hear in public. If there are complaints against staff, these will be handled appropriately through our complaint policy KE. To reiterate, this is just a highlight of key points. Please refer to policy BED8 for a complete description of our public participation policy. And Kristen, Joe? Thank you.
How about right here? Is this good?
That's fine. Yep, just make sure you speak clear.
So, Crystal Nicholas from Green. The very idea that basic medical freedom would not be a constitutional right is patently ludicrous. Yet in certain states, pharmaceutical lobbyists manipulate the legal landscape to mandate for-profit pharmaceutical products in exchange for a child's dignity and educational development. In a striking parallel to the government-sanctioned apartheid of South Africa, today's vaccine mandate policies in American schools that have been ushered in through government, this under the guise of public health. Even though, as Dr. Aaron Lewis points out in his article, that quote, "There's not a single piece of definitive evidence that demonstrates that unvaccinated children pose any risk at all to their vaccinated peers." And there is a link in there. Out-of-touch administrators routinely normalize exclusion that, whatever its supposed justification, carries a profound toll, borne most heavily by the very children they are supposed to serve. There are great differences between children, and assumptions are made that every child, despite being a unique individual, is ineptly lumped into an identical level of tolerance of invasive, unnecessary treatments. We hear about mandated reporters here, but please remember that even in your professional positions, you must stand behind a loving family that has a child's and their family's best interests at stake. Parents are the original mandated reporters. They should be listened to, respected, and supported, not subverted and undermined when it comes to their children's health outcomes. Dr. Lewis writes, quote, "For those who champion diversity and inclusion, it is both shocking and deeply disheartening to see the normalization of policies that perpetuate the same patterns of alienation and othering that limits humanity," end quote. Not too long ago here, we witnessed declarations of support addressed to a particular group of students. I would like to extend my support to all students who wish to attend school, and I support parents' ability to choose health for their child. I do not support the marginalization and isolation of vulnerable students who should not be asked to risk or sacrifice their health for the right to an education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to, please?
Just to clarify too, I'm the baseball parent that the email went out around. This is an ongoing conversation around anthem.
Oh, the national anthem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, thank you.
So good evening. My name is Lindsay Sawyer Brown. I live in Leeds. I have two sons in the district, one at Turner Elementary and one's at Levitt. I also work at Tripp Middle as a spur-wing clinician. I'm just going to read. It's easier for me. I'd like to propose a few ideas for consideration. All of these ideas are meant to strengthen our sense of community and help build a gap between our athletics and arts programs. First, I would like to see a flag displayed at all of our sporting events. It's a simple but meaningful way to build unity, respect, and shared tradition across our schools and community. Second, I propose incorporating the playing of the national anthem, whether sung or instrumental, prior to the start of all sporting events that want it, not just varsity football, basketball, and hockey. For those of you that are not aware, this is currently not happening at Levitt baseball, softball, soccer, field hockey, lacrosse, and track events. I feel like this is a simple, manageable addition that takes less than 3 minutes time, but more importantly, it would create a consistent and respectful pre-game moment. I would like to clarify that this is not for the team players to be announced at every game. Lastly, I propose giving students the opportunity to perform the national anthem at sporting events. We have incredibly talented musicians and artists who deserve more opportunities to showcase their skills. I've witnessed firsthand how impactful this can be. At a baseball game in Gardner, a player performed the anthem on his guitar, and it set the tone in a way that felt both personal and memorable. During Levitt Hockey, which is a co-op that brings together students from 4 participating schools, I've seen students perform the anthem as well. At senior night, the last 2 years, an Oak Hill student played the anthem on his saxophone, and it genuinely moved the crowd. There were people in tears. This is more than just a performance. It's about giving students a platform, bringing our community together, and honoring both athletics and the arts. I'm requesting that these conversations around this be added as an agenda item for further discussion. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any? All right, not seeing any. Thank you. And thank you both ladies. That takes us to communications, which I have one I'm aware of.
Yes, this was his.
I know which it is. Okay. I'd like to acknowledge the donation of $1,100 for the purchase of uniforms and apparel for the district's transportation personnel from 8 board members: Green Citizens, Eric Cousins, Mike Albert, Jeremy Nadeau, AA Hardware, Turner Highlands Golf Course, Rhyme and Reasons Early Learning Center, and an anonymous donor. And I'd like to also emphasize board member Kyle from Green, who's really worked hard to make this happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, that takes us to superintendent communications.
Yep, so one resignation, Patrick Romar, as Special Ed Tech 2 at Leeds, effective April 17th. Retirement, Cheryl Dockham, Special Ed Tech 3 from Leeds Central School at the end of the year. And this is a big one for the district. Dave Roberts, Food Service Director at the end of the school year. Dave Roberts has been running the food service department here for
22 years.
How many?
22 years.
22 years. Is an outstanding, dedicated employee who works very hard to make sure that kids have food every day that is good for them. So I'm really very sad to see him go and appreciative of all his work. Even though I've only been here for 4 years, I can tell he's just got high standards, and I appreciate that. I'm going to announce the hiring of 2 van drivers, Cassidy Allaire and Eric Bocage. 2 van drivers, and Roger Brenner is back. I don't know if I said that before, but Roger Brenner is back. Okay.
Still back.
I'm just
He's
going to
still
say
back.
it. I'm going to say it every time. We still have another bus driver back. And then 1 transfer, Michelle DeBlois, who's an ELA teacher currently at the middle school, is transferring to the science teacher position at the middle school for next year.
I just want to add that I remember prior to Dave, and for those of you who don't know, our food service was an issue for a long time. Expensive for the district and an issue. And what he's done is absolutely amazing, and he will be missed. So that will be a significant loss, but I wish him luck in his next chapter of retirement. All right, adjustments to the agenda. We do have a couple, but they're all deletions. We will be deleting I was so neat that I was checking to see if it was me or the computer. 9.1, the Finance Committee recognition for oil and diesel bids. We will not be looking at that. I'm pretty sure everybody knows why we're not looking at oil bids at this point. We'll also be removing 9.5.2, the social worker position in green. And I guess that's the only 2 that aren't on the presented. All right. That takes us to committee reports. Finance Committee, Ashley.
Yes, we did meet this morning. The first item we discussed was the TPS clock and PA system replacement that Wally is suggesting. And you'll see it coming forth on the May 14th agenda, the consent item that we are approving the request for capital reserve funds. I'll let Gabby kind of explain a little bit intricate detail on the technical part of the system, but the total amount is $41,632.96, and that is a full system replacement that comes with some improved communication upgrades that the system didn't previously have. And Gabby can speak a little more to how some of the speakers and wiring that leadership have now isn't going to work or be compatible with some fixes that there is with that.
Yeah, so Wally worked with several companies, of which not all of them were able to provide quotes on an upgrade to the system. But he had originally received 4 different quotes, different levels of components to replace, with the recommendation of a lesser cost, which we had talked about in our last Finance Committee. And then it was determined that the existing speakers were not compatible with that, so we would have to replace those speakers, but those speakers were not necessarily compatible with the existing wiring. So The overall recommendation now is the full replacement. It is the most expensive option, but it is has the most capabilities and the most upgrade options, the most safety features, integration into different components as time goes on or are necessary, and it works completely with existing speakers and wiring, so there's no compatibility issues. So that's his recommendation.
Questions on that?
Just out of curiosity, it is the most expensive option, but is it still the most expensive option since it's working with existing speakers? Was that, you know?
So it was it would be $3,000 more expensive than the other option, which would replace the speakers, but it does not then replace the wiring that the speakers may or may not work properly with.
So it could,
So it could end up being more expensive
to go the other route.
in the long run, correct?
If we have to replace the wiring.
Yes, correct. Replacing the wiring would be extremely expensive because you're talking about ripping out old wire, installing new conduit, installing new wiring. Yeah.
Thank you.
The other item we discussed was district credit card use. This is an item I requested to just have kind of an overview conversation if there's opportunity to expand some of the credit card use and take advantage of rewards or cashback opportunities for the district to get some of that money back, and that's something Gabby's going to look at a little bit more. Then we talked about paid family leave setup. So if you all remember, we outsourced that to a third party. MetLife is managing that portion of the payroll. And so some of that is going to be determined when an employee takes leave, it can be taxable or non-taxable. And originally MetLife sent that back to admin and said they were going to be responsible for collecting and remitting that taxable portion of the payroll taxes on that wage. They then kind of went back and forth and determined that they could do it, but they would assess a fee on it. So it'd be a 3% fee on the wages associated with those taxes.
It's not on the wages, it's associated on the amount that's paid on our behalf. So the FICA and Medicare expense that's paid on our behalf.
A 3% fee. There are some other companies Gabby brought forward that can do it for a point, less than 1% of a fee, but that was on wages.
All of the salaries.
Which amounted to be, she did the math, if the maximum amount of people were taking that, it would end up being more than if the maximum amount of people were taking out the 3% fee of the payroll taxes. So that's what they are opting to do there. Then we discussed a small fee change in health and spending dependent accounts. So right now that is being managed by Horace Mann. As of now, Gabby let us know there are about 72 participants in that. So what they're doing now, starting July 1st, is there's a $2.25 per month fee being associated with those accounts for members using those accounts. And there was an option that the district could absorb that fee or push that back to the users. And we did discuss that based on what administration wants to do and what we discussed to push that onto the users. So that fee would be collected from payroll, bi-weekly payroll. And then Gabby presented the quote from the Novo Studios, which is the architectural firm, a total of $76,280, and that's for the middle school cafeteria, TPS, bathroom usage. It also includes architectural fees for land and stuff at the new fields if we were to get it. So if that does not go through, that number will jump down a little more. 76,280. That's for all of their work right now. And did you guys meet and do repeating bids?
We spoke briefly, and we are going to wait another month and see how that goes.
Is this the firm does this firm do both grounds and buildings, or just grounds?
We have a different
Or just
firm.
buildings, okay.
A different firm is doing the fields.
Okay, so this would just be if any buildings we're thinking about.
This would be the transportation facility that they
Yeah.
would do. And the 76 is for the architectural fees. There will be engineering fees separate. They work with a different engineering company, so we'll see other ones there as we progress.
And that will be coming to the full board the next meeting for approval of use of the reserve fund for those fees.
Any other questions for Ashley? Thank you very much. Takes us to PTV. Alex?
We didn't meet tonight. Our next meeting is on the 14th.
Any questions about that? That takes us to Policy Committee. Crystal?
Yes. So we have had 2 meetings since our last time that we were all together. So I'm going to start back on the April 16th meeting that we had, which you will see some of those items on the consent agenda was from this meeting on April 16th. The first one that we spoke about was property disposal, and Gabby was there to elaborate on that one. And it's basically, if we are selling devices and we get any money back from that, we have to be in compliance with the law that we are then using those funds to purchase new
So
devices.
our policy stated that it would automatically, we would have to deposit into the unallocated reserve fund, and then it would be rolled over to determine what the board determines appropriate use for the next fiscal year. We worked with lawyers and with the auditors to come up with new wording to allow for, after the sale of particular items, such as the outdated technology devices, we could then turn around and purchase new technology devices with those funds. It allows Wally, the technology director, to leverage those funds a little bit better to potentially purchase an additional item or get a little bit more money to cover whatever the extra cost, a little bit more to get another bundle of 5 devices, if that's the case. Or if we sell outdated tires, we could turn around and use that to offset the expense of repairs of school buses or district vehicles. Both the auditors and the lawyers approved of the wording and helped us with that, so it's absolutely allowable, and we feel it would be better use of the district proceeds from those specific items.
Go ahead.
Were we required, or is this something we came forward with? Did the
Not
lawyers or
required by law.
auditors?
No,
No.
we asked them.
Yes, it's not a law,
I'm
It's
apologizing
how-
that if this passed me by at some point earlier on.
policy is stated.
I always have a slight concern when, and I realize we're probably not talking about a lot of money here most of the time, but maybe with some of the computer sales, because we're getting $6 a computer. But I get nervous when we start dedicating money that doesn't have the full review compared to all the other needs of the district.
It would still come to the board.
Oh, I understand, but like, I was against when we purchased an item outside of the normal routine because it doesn't have the same, it just doesn't have the same look. It's not being compared until the other needs. The other administrators aren't saying, okay, I understand you need these, or we need this technology, but I need a teacher. So I have a concern that we're dedicating funds and they're not going into the overall big picture. So that's just a concern of mine. Bring it forward. Not enough to make a big stink about it, it's a concern.
You want to pull it from the
No,
consent? Okay.
no, I made my little comment.
Okay, now the next one that we spoke about was bidding and purchasing requirement. And this thing was like 30 pages long, it was like
It's lengthy, it's got a lot of meat to it.
very, very lengthy. And this one we do, because it's federal funding, we have to be in compliance with a bunch of different laws. And about competitive bids when we don't necessarily have to do them, and what those, the cap of money or the minimum that Carrie would have to go out to bid for or come to us for approval. And I have competitive $25,000 down, and now I literally have no idea what that would have meant. That was just competitive bids, the lowest.
For services that the district would, we would go to bid for that.
And anything under, not necessarily.
And then for items that we're purchasing, we would go to bid for $10,000
Okay.
or more.
So.
What is our current standard?
I think that we had it at $4,000. It was in line with what the federal guidelines were, and the federal guidelines shifted.
Do we feel we need to up it?
I think that it's appropriate to. The employees in the district, even when it's below that threshold, I still ask them to make sure that it's an appropriate price for whatever they're purchasing. let's say that somebody needs a new desk, so they go to Uline. Okay, well, did you look at other vendors to ensure that that price is appropriate after all is said and done? So they look into it. It's not required by law. It's just being cognizant of spending and ensuring that we're being responsible.
My first thought is 25,000, I realize that's for services, and what was the 10,000 purchases? Still seems, that's a pretty significant, a $7,000 purchase, in my book, is still a pretty significant purchase. And I want to think that it ought to be mandatory that we get try to get our 3 bids for a $7,000 purchase.
We do try, it's not always.
Well, I know, but I think it's always better to have the authority behind the request. Because if it's part, and I apologize,
okay,
I'm not
Peter.
focusing on you.
It's okay, Peter,
but
I don't take offense.
I'm looking here. I just, and again, I'm speaking out, and somebody can tell me to shut up if they wish to.
Nope.
But it seems to me that, I don't know, that seems awfully high for us to not require competitive bidding. And so I have concerns about that, and so yeah, I'm gonna request that one to be pulled when the time comes, because I'm not agreeing with that level of bidding, so yes.
We can do that. The other one that you will see this evening is EBBD, which is new and required in its temperature standards for schools. That was with PTB, and they came up with, I don't think you guys came up with the numbers. They were directed from the state. The schools need to be between 60 and 85 degrees with a 5-degree critical value on either side of 55 and 90. And the policy just makes sure that we are putting in any sort of mitigating action, thank you, prior to or during the day, whether it's, closing shades, keeping windows off, making sure kids have extra water, dressing appropriately, cancellation of school if it's deemed necessary, but we had to have that as a required policy. So new state law. In a state law, yeah. And then that brings us to tonight. We met starting at 5, because this is technically our last meeting in order for us to get everything through for 2 readings to be adopted for the next school year. Tonight we discussed the wellness policy, and we have been talking about this one for many months at this point. There was a lot of concern around kind of the nutrition of the students during the day, whether it's snacks that are being brought in, rewards in the classroom, in the way of food, and what kids are eating for lunch and breakfast. We had Dave come to a meeting. He definitely heard, Mr. Roberts, heard our concerns, and was hopefully going to be reviewing things with his staff this year to make sure that we are meeting, or, well, we have to meet, but hopefully exceeding any of the USDA nutritional guidelines that he has to follow. But now there's going to be a changing of the guard, but I know, and I have complete confidence that that person will be aware of how important this policy is to the board, and I think to many parents who have expressed some concerns about menu items. So there were a couple of changes in wording, just making sure that we are expressing that we would like to see exceeding those expectations. There will be communication that will go out, like for classrooms, for like any sort of rewards, that hopefully will be more in the way of like an extra 10 minutes of recess or whatever, instead of candy salad, which is a real thing. So that was a big one that took up a lot of our time, but I feel like we came to a good place. And so that will be at the first reading on the May 14th meeting. The second one was school records retention. That will also be on the readings, and that was just around, or on the first reading after the May 14th meeting. This is just about any sort of
communications, that Carrie gets to basically kind of be the keeper of all of those things, especially like with BOAs, and following those archives laws of Maine. That'll be on the next one. And then we also discussed graduation requirements and accompanying other policies that will be up for deletion once we hopefully adopt. And Teresa was gonna do a little bit more wordsmithing for us on that one. And the three of us will hopefully approve that one, and that will also come. And next week would be next Friday, that backup would come out, right? Or, yes.
Yes, to the full board.
Yes, to the full board. So everybody would see that before it hits there. And the last one that we discussed this evening was ILD, which is Educational Research Student Submission to Surveys, Analyses, or Evaluation. We looked at our current MSAD 52 policy and a proposed policy that was brought to us by Anthony a year and a half ago, I think. So this one is around ensuring that parents, well, Anthony's changes would be ensuring that parents would be submitting, oh my gosh, what is the word? Opting in instead of opting out of surveys for students. We went through those changes that were here. Teresa's, again, this is another situation where we're going to wordsmith a couple of things, and the three of us were going to look at it again and make sure that it could come to the board for a first reading. It's done, so you guys will all see that. It's been a lot, the last couple of meetings. They're heavy. And there are, the one on the 16th, we've met for like nearly 3 hours, so. Well,
as Peter liked to say today, you made your $200. You made your $200.
Yeah. And so that's, I think, potentially it from the policy committee.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions? That takes us to Bree, curriculum.
Our next scheduled meeting is May 14th.
And that takes us back to Crystal.
Here we are. We will be meeting about this one
The Tri-Town, sorry.
Yeah. Tri-Town, yes, the negotiations.
So we'll have an executive.
Yes.
All right. That means I have to flip the page. I'm running without glasses. So, student representative, Garrett.
Starting with the big one, prom's coming up Saturday.
I've heard about it.
Been quite the talk. Students have also been studying for AP exams, which is coming up in the following weeks.
Which is more popular?
One's popular for a better reason.
Oh, okay.
Key Club will be helping out with Eli's Run for Recovery on May 31st. You can run or walk, and all community members, including board members, are welcome to participate. Also, officer elections for Key Club will be taking place in the next few weeks. And finally, theater is putting on the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane. Showtimes are May 8th and May 9th, Friday and Saturday, and both are at 6:30 p.m. And you are all invited. Please come if you can.
Well, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? All right. Well, thank you. That takes us to administrator reports, and Principal Parker, you're up.
Good evening. Didn't know if anybody had any initial questions on the submitted report today.
I think just come back forward a little bit,
Little
Doug,
bit?
so that you get picked up here.
No
Especially
problem.
since the
I know,
milk
I just
has
started
turned on. I was like, oh darn, the milk's
Yeah.
on.
All right, so just a few items to share. We would like to congratulate, you can see at the top of your board report that our average daily attendance rate was 94% for this month. We would like to congratulate pre-K, first grade, and third grade who attained 96%. They were awarded certificates by grade level at our end of the month, our student of the month assembly today. So that's usually a big to do. You'll notice in the upcoming events, May 12th is listed there as our Investors Fair. That is primarily with our 6th graders. This is our 23rd annual Investors Fair, and it involves teams of 6th graders working together. They create and market a product that solves a significant problem or addresses a need with an assigned country somewhere around the world. They do an inventory of their own strengths. They research a future career that they're interested in. Then they build a budget based on their career salary, including their expenses, mortgage, car, utility, food, etc. They actually will do a practice interview with a company to kind of give them a little bit of, I wouldn't say real world experience, but kind of dancing toward that. Then the companies create a informational trifold that has a lot of information. It includes a product description, an original student design logo, their business cards. They do a marketing pitch, Q&A to any potential quote-unquote investors that attend the fair, and they perform a musical jingle. So we use all of our specialists woven into that whole process, and it culminates at the Investors Fair. Each person that comes through gets $300,000, and they are able to take that and invest in up to 3 of the companies after they hear the marketing pitch throughout. And then at the tail end, everything is added up, and there's an overall quote-unquote winner. But so yeah, looking at this is spearheaded by Jennifer Simmons, our school counselor. But we've got reading, writing, art, social studies, music, tech skills, communication, working as part of the team, self-reflection, time management, network building, empathy, and critical thinking. So there's a lot in this, and it really is a fabulous event. It's always extremely well attended, and anybody who is interested on the board is more than welcome to come on May 12th. And last thing for tonight, shameless plug. Our student ambassadors at Green Central School are sponsoring a food drive. Specific information is now available on the Green Central School Facebook page, and we would welcome any and all non-perishable items. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Well, I have a question, but I'm not going to direct it to Mr. Parker because it's kind of more general. Carrie, can you remind me, the health survey, 2 things. Is that taken digitally or on paper? And at the elementary level, what grades is that being administered to?
5th and 6th, and I think it is paper.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could, but it's not just for you, like, it's,
Yeah, I get it.
several principals have
Yeah.
presented on it. I was like, oh, I forgot I wanted to ask that question, so thank you. Okay.
I would like to, you wrote down some questions that your school did on the health survey. What do you feel, how do you feel you incorporate it? Do you see the questions here? What is the school doing with that information?
With that, this is something we can share with our ambassadors, and we do share that with our teachers as well. So there's some level of celebration there. It's woven into the PE pieces as far as health and PE, and better lifestyle choices are always incorporated into any and all of the activities. So
I see 3 positive. Was there anything that was concerning that brought up?
Nothing that's popping. If there is or was, nothing that was it didn't stray particularly far from the state average. But if there was anything that was there, nothing's popping right now, that's good.
And this is nothing for you. I'm sometimes not always excited to be at the state average, though. Just for the record, sometimes the state average is no place to be.
No. But that's why, and that's why I cited these in particular. Even the veggie thing is pretty good news.
All right. Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Anthony?
And this is not only at Mr. Parker. It seems like when we get these reports, and I've said this before, we get like a little academic highlight. But what we don't get is a snapshot of where our kids are in their learning. We've gone through, how many grading periods have we gone through?
We're in the final trimester.
Okay, so we should have, it seems to me that we should have how our kids are doing for two grading periods. And we can look at that, and we can look at things like behavior, because we get that every single time. We can look at that, and we can look at academic performance, and we can then start drawing some conclusions. But I find it very frustrating that I know that information's out there. We give kids grades. We should be able to come up with averages of those grades, tell us where the kids are, put it on a bell curve, we'll be able to see it, and it's data that I personally would find super helpful in interpreting the other things that we're given every single time. Can we make that happen, please?
I got your email, and that was a while ago, and I have been working on it on this end. It is something that definitely we have talked about it and tried, because one of the important issues is to keep it uniform. I have two goals. One, I think the information you're requesting is very appropriate. But two, I want to also keep it, so I have three. Two, I want to keep it consistent from school to school. And three, I don't want to be overburdening to the administrative staff, which seems hard for me to say. But anyways, I don't want to be overburdening. So we're trying to figure out the best way to have that information, make it presented, keep it consistent, especially when we do the jump from the elementary level to the middle and high school level, that kind of information as well. So it is definitely on the radar, it's on the discussions. I'm not going to use the excuse that it gets pushed aside for other things as they pop up, but uniformity and more detail from our administrators on a regular basis is definitely on the list.
Thank you.
So don't expect it in the next meeting or two, but it is on the piece of paper I carry in Carrie's office. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're up.
Okay. I didn't know if I was waiting for my introduction.
Well, I know, but my mind got lost. It happens more often
Principal
than...
Gammon, you're on the stage.
Thank you very much.
You're up.
Superintendent Carey.
So hopefully on the way in you noticed that we had some improvements done to our building. Started over vacation, came back to staging and construction equipment up front. It was great. I was very excited to see it actually. So some work has been done to the front of the building to replace wood that had been rotting. The cleaning, there's less cobwebs. It looks great. I have a group of staff who are going to volunteer to work with me to revive the garden around the flagpole, which has kind of lost its beauty. So we're going to work on that as well and look at some ways to spruce up the front of the building as people come in. So that's one thing that's been happening. Yesterday we had an author visit. The PTC sponsored an author to come in. They met with all students K-2 in sessions. She talked about how writing a book. She did some activities with them to kind of inspire them to be authors themselves. That was well received. Our attendance remains to be strong despite sickness. Sometimes we notice that there's more vacations and planned absences than there are sicknesses happening in our building. That's hard. We also notice that a lot of tardies and dismissals, so we're kind of thinking of ways to target that. We do send home letters showing people so that they are aware of how many absences, tardies, and dismissals that they have, and we get a pretty good response to that. You'll see an increase in attendance after, and then it kind of fades again, and we send another letter. And so we're going to keep working on that because we really, attendance matters. Like the kids have to be here to make progress. We are in the midst of planning a lot of spring events. We have Trip Around the World that is being revived. It has not happened since I've been here because I came here the year COVID happened, and so we didn't get to do it that spring. So if you have experienced it, it's where kids get to move around the building and teachers explore different countries with them. So they might go to one classroom and it's Italy, and they learn about Italy, and they get to taste the food from Italy, and they get to watch a video from Italy, and they get to read a book from Italy. And so it's a way to expose different cultures to our children. The specialist also help us out in music and games and art from different countries as well. It's a tradition here, and so we're reviving it again. So there's a lot of excitement around that. We have our field day coming up, we have step-up days, transition to grade 3. Well, there's a big long list of things that are fun stuff that's gonna happen. So we're super excited to do all that this spring and have some fun with the kids before we send them on to the next grade.
Any questions for Principal Gannon? Jen?
So I assume the palette of soil, was that for your new garden?
Yes, so maintenance came over and cleaned
Or
the
was that for Miss
pavers.
Susie's?
What?
Was the, or for Miss Susie's garden back here?
So I was told that was given to us to use on the garden.
Oh, that's
I'm not actually sure where it came from, if it was from a leftover from a project. It showed up, I will use it, I will not question that.
You might want to use it quick.
Yeah, so they cleaned the pavers for us, and then we're gonna dig it out and put soil, and teachers will bring in flowers from their gardens, and so, yeah, I have no idea, but I'm gonna take it. Because I don't have to pay for it, so we're gonna use it. So.
Anyone else have any other questions? Thank you very much. We don't have Rebecca, so that takes us to,
Evan?
oh,
You
are we
can skip over
good?
if you
Are we
want.
good? Are we good?
I won't be offended.
Principal
if you
Shaw.
move along, it's all right. All right, I got some handouts tonight, so a little light reading for everybody who's interested. Potential cure for insomnia, that sort of thing. So it is springtime, as my colleagues have pointed out. It's busy around the building. It was nice to come back and have some, actually blonde that looked green rather than brown. It was really nice. We have a very busy spring season going on, as Garrett mentioned. The spring plays coming right up next week. They have been working on that since they got done doing one acts. They transitioned to next Monday, so they've been going through a study on that. Additionally, I think maybe he's downplaying people's excitement about preparation for the AP exams. That is coming right up. The first couple weeks of May are annually set aside for AP exams, so those will be happening starting next week. I believe the 4th is the first day, and it goes for the first 2 weeks. But the date that I wanted to point out before I get into my other thing is on the 28th, Thursday the 28th, the trustees of Levitt Institute will be holding their 125th annual meeting in the auditorium at the high school. They're going to play it up big because it's their 125th meeting, so Mr. Doyle and I have been talking about that. It's going to be cake, so it must be a big deal. So that's happening on the afternoon of Thursday the 28th. But what I really wanted to speak of tonight was the senior symposium day, which is the 20th of May. The seniors have been working on their senior symposium project for a good chunk of since February vacation. And they've selected a topic of their choosing that they wanted to learn more about, while at the same time sharing their learning with others. So they have to select a topic that works for, because not every time that doesn't work for everything. So I had an opportunity to talk with almost all of them around what their topics were and what they were planning on sharing. And those topics range from I have a couple of young men who are trying to invent the next best Vassalor to one who's building a new mini bike from the ground up and was of course getting some parts together to put that together. And what was the other one that I wanted to mention? It'll come to me as I'm talking. But anyway, so they're putting those projects together, and they have to do at least 15 hours of action research associated with it. So it's not just a matter of going to the library or jumping on Google to try to find a resource for that. They have to actually do some research. And they'll be doing their presentations on the 20th. We're going to set the gym up like it's a career fair, and they'll have their displays on their table, and they're going to if it doesn't belong in the gym, then we'll set it up somewhere else, maybe in the courtyard or whatever. But they're gonna have an opportunity to present that to students in the building as well as to all the staff, and that is on a Wednesday release day. So after everybody else is gone, the seniors are still gonna be there, so that we can sit down with them as a staff and have more in-depth conversation with them about what their projects were, and we're gonna feed them lunch. So actually, Da Vinci's gonna feed them lunch. Da Vinci's has donated lunch for them to have on that day. So pretty excited about that. I was really impressed with the topics that the students had chosen and their enthusiasm with which they were trying to embark on their research. So that's what I had to share with you tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Anybody? Great.
No questions, just two things. I want to also just be sure to say out loud congratulations to the LRTC students that you mentioned in your report as well for their medals at Skills USA, which is a great accomplishment for those kids. And thank you for sharing with us the students who have earned summa cum laude as well. But you gave us 16 names, so I'm curious where the fight is for those top 10 spots still. Is that going to be a...
That's not a thing.
They don't do it anymore.
You don't?
No,
No.
it's just,
If they get it, they get
They
it.
get it, they get it.
yeah.
No, what do you mean?
Like if you hit the grade point average for SUMA, you've hit the grade point average for SUMA. So-
Yes, that's not what I
Yep.
mean specifically, but I meant like, as far as like, yes, valedictorian and
Oh,
salutatorian, like the
yeah,
top
no,
10-ish, like
there's
that sort of competition at the end of the year.
The top four give
Yes.
speeches at graduation.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure
Is
they're
there
competing
still a
for
bit
that
of a
this year.
competition
bit.
as we're going? Or are we kind of,
They might actually be fighting for fifth, so they don't have to do a speech. at
Yeah,
graduation,
yeah.
but, yes.
No, Joe.
I suspect I don't remember the benchmark, but you said 92% attendance, your average daily attendance. Is that, I know it's down from like, high school's probably normally down from elementary schools,
Yes,
right?
indeed it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. But like, what is what's the benchmark for high school, I guess?
90 for me, like anything above 90 is a win for high school, and we've been steadily above 90 all year. So I think we're doing well on that. Similar to what Elaine had mentioned, we're running into issues of people just being gone for substantial amounts of time. We had a number of students who went on vacation prior to vacation and haven't got back yet. Like that's what we're running into, and the need for students to be in class. As much as some might like it to be, it's not a correspondence course, so we're fighting against that a little bit.
Jeff?
Just a quick question. I mean, do you know what time the meeting is for the trustees? I
They'll
haven't
start
got
about
my-
2:30. They'll start about 2:30.
That's what I thought. I
Yep.
just haven't got it, and I wanted to make sure I asked for it off.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evan.
Is there another one of those? Do you have another copy of mine?
Yeah.
I got it. I just need to make sure it gets to the file.
Do you want one?
Part of
I have the previous copy.
You got it. Anything handed out, it's gotta go in the file.
I assume this is the same as part of the big master one we got earlier.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I emailed it to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. The email, well, I get an email I printed out, and I'm very fan of the wood industry.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, you ready for me?
Absolutely.
All right, well, tonight I bring good news. Financial good news. So I am sharing our preliminary ESEA grant applications. I realize that it's a little bit small, so. Hold on, Jenny, it's
I
right
didn't
in front
know
of
you were doing that. That got like,
hear it,
you
so-
got super fancy quick.
Here.
Well, yeah. Come on, I gotta always up my game.
Press the green button too, it will, at least in the top right corner, at least pick up the whole screen.
There we go, okay. So I put our actual numbers for last year because these are just preliminary numbers. They usually always adjust, they can go up and down. They're pretty close. And I wanted to put it with each part of the grant so you can see what it is. So our preliminary numbers for Title I is listed there, $417,409.63. And the description underneath tells what the federal program is for. One of the unique pieces of Title I is that, so you're allowed to move money between these accounts. Some of you might have multiple accounts, you might move money. between, but if you move something into Title I, it cannot come out, and you can't move anything out of it. So that's the number that we're going to stick with, and I think you may remember from budget presentations that we will be funding ed techs at Green and Leeds, as well as part of the instructional coach at Green and the instructional coach at Leeds with that money. That will take care of those salaries. Then the next grant fund is Title II. And Title II is for preparing, training, and recruiting high-quality teachers and principals. You are allowed to move that fund to any of the other ones. So historically, we have moved it to Title V because Title V, over at the far right, addresses the unique needs of rural school districts. So anything that we pay for in our district budget, or anything unique or unusual, we can pay for it in Title V. Our Title III funds are negligible. They're about $1,500, and we have to join a consortium, which would end up costing us, I think, $10,000 to $12,000. So we're going to leave that money on the table, that $1,500. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Title IV provides funding to improve students' academic achievement by increasing school district capacity to improve school conditions and the use of technology. That is 41. Everything is up from last year. We're getting an increase in all areas. For the past several years, we have also moved Title IV into Title V funds. So our total amount that we have this year is $552,103.99, which is an increase from last year of just under $36,000. The number you see above it from 2026 is the increase from the year before. So there have been years, it seems to be a cycle of every 3 years we go down and then we go back up again. I don't have the exact date of when. Do you remember from that notice of when they're going to be finalized?
Nope.
I don't know. But our grant application will be due on August 1st. So what I will be doing is working with the principals. We identify needs, and then we have projects that are developed on how we're going to spend the Title II, IV, and V, which will all become Title V. So that's my report.
Well, thank you. A very positive report. Any questions?
Can we get that?
Copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just be sent that?
I'll just email it to you.
No, and that was also, the breakdown of the request is in the budget.
Yeah, in your budget
Booklet,
notebook, in the
booklet.
back is what the budget for this year's title funds looks like and what the money was spent on, and also the funds we get in grant for special education. So those
So it's
are
in
in
the very
back.
back of the book, which is that first big one, right?
And at the time where we didn't have that money, we anticipated we would get the same amount. So we didn't build any projects yet, but except we knew we wanted to have enough to pay for those salaries.
Anybody else have any questions? Teresa? All right, not seeing any. Superintendent me.
Wow.
That's funny, that happened to you earlier.
My God.
Okay.
Now you're not even saying my name right. Okay, I'll try and be quick. A couple things have already been said. I emailed the board, but I wanted to say out loud, we did end up getting an additional $19,829 in subsidy. There was an error where 2 pre-K students had inadvertently been pulled out of our data, and they found the error, put them back in. So it reduces by a tiny amount the percent increase in each town, which is still good. Wastewater treatment plant, if you drove by today, it's gone, the old one. It's been torn down.
Oh, really?
You should, like, check it out.
That was
I was
quick.
very sad to miss that when I was in Leeds
Done,
today.
all of one day, done. So it's very exciting. We are really close to wrapping that up. Gabby, Dave, and I did our architect kickoff meeting last week with CHA, which is the architecture firm we're working on for fields. So he's going to start doing an evaluation of our current fields, and obviously we gave him May 22nd as a start date, depending on what happens with the vote. Productive Tri-Town Select Board meeting last night. Lots of conversation about the land purchase. I felt like it was probably the best one for the school that I've been to. I was kind of pleased to walk out of there feeling like I hadn't been chopped up too much, so it was good.
Well, they were disappointed the county didn't come.
I know.
They were ready for the county, but they didn't dare come.
I'm happy for somebody else, so. I've started doing budget presentations at the schools, and we'll send out the recorded one to the community tomorrow for people to start getting looked at to prepare for next Thursday. And let's see. So on the consent agenda, you will see the list of probationary year 1 teachers that we're nominating to move to year 2. And I think it makes sense to just read those names now so that we get to the consent agenda. So probationary teachers who are moving to a 2nd year probation, which by law is 2 years, at Green Central School is Paige Hussey, Vanessa Richards, and Lee Smith. At shared music teacher between Green and Leeds is Lars Jacobson. Our shared instrumental music teacher between Green, Leeds, and Turner Elementary is Elizabeth Nichols-Goodliff. Levitt Area High School special educator Amy Roscoe. At Leeds Central School, Jennifer Geitens, another special education teacher. At Tripp Middle School, Michelle DeBlois, Nikki Pelletier, Megan Smith, Reese Thibodeau, and Sam Van Tynen. At Turner Elementary School is Cassidy Camp and Gina Crosby. Turner Elementary shared art teacher and music teacher between Turner Elementary and Turner Primary is Adam Corriveau and Adam Scarponi. And then at Turner Primary School is Megan Laverdier, Cyprian Marinette, everyone calls him Chip, and Jen Paget. The teachers we are nominating who are completing their 2nd probationary year and now moving to a continuing contract at Green Central School is Isabel Bassett. Shared art teacher between Green and Leeds is Rebecca Trujillo. At the high school is Colleen Beam, Dan Cloutier, Katie Corser, Kelly Stratton. At Leeds Central School, it's a big group. Christine Brown, Lindsay Gilbert, Delaney Houston, Kayla Hutchinson, Carolyn Pinato, Jody Phillips, and Joan Turtelot. Shared technology teacher between Leeds and Turner Elementary is Stacy LeClaire. At Tripp Middle School is Wendy Anderson and Megan Fenton. Shared social worker between Turner Elementary and Turner Primary is Wendy Dobbin. And at Turner Primary is Maureen McDonald and Deanna Wilkinson. So those folks have all completed all the work that they need to do to demonstrate their competence for us to nominate them. And then finally, we did have 2 potential positions for tonight. One person is still considering. So the nomination I bring to you is for a classroom teacher at Leeds Central School, Susan Kavanaugh. This is a catch. She is somebody that we've hired to do training for our teachers in math. She's worked with all the elementary schools. She's been a classroom teacher for the last couple years, have been a math instructional consultant with the DOE and with other districts that have hired her, which we have. And she is ready to get back into the classroom and really enjoyed working here in her time. So she is gonna permanently join us, which we are super excited about. Yeah, it's like, this is a really good get. Very experienced, very qualified, somebody who I think other teachers can learn from. She's awesome. So Susan Kavanaugh is going to be teacher at Leeds.
Anybody have any questions for? Not seeing any? That takes us to the consent agenda, which items to be acted on collectively unless a board member asks that a specific item to be acted upon individually. I myself am requesting 9.3.2 taken out. Other than that, is there anything anybody else would like taken out? Not seeing any. Consent agenda to be activated. Yeah, blah, blah. 9.2 to act on the appointment of the following for the 2026-27 school year: the 9.2.1 probationary contract teachers, 2nd year list, and the 9.2.2 first continuing contract teachers 3rd year list, which we just heard. The 9.3 consideration of policy committee recommended first reading and acceptance of revised policy. 9.3.1 policy DN school property disposal procedures. 9.4 consideration of policy committee recommended first reading acceptance policy EBBD, temperature standards for schools. 9.5, instructional nominations to be acted upon collectively after nominations have been read by superintendent, which we just heard. And 9.5.1, the lead central school grade 3-4 teacher. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second from Kyle. All those in favor? All those opposed, even though it was unanimous? Nobody voted twice. And we'll just move 9.3.2 to now? I'm going to make a motion to send it back to policy to look at a lower.
Can I read something? Is that okay?
No.
So I just want to read you what it states under the federal procurement guidelines and what it changed from. Micro purchases were at $3,500. They've changed them to $10,000 as of November of 2020, but that didn't really line up with fiscal years, so they, okay. Micro purchases up to the federal micro purchase threshold of $10,000 as of November 12, 2020 may be made without soliciting competitive quotations if the purchasing agent considers the price to be reasonable based on research experience, purchase history, or other information and maintains documents to support its conclusion to the extent practicable. The purchasing agent must distribute micro purchases equitably among qualified suppliers, vendors, or firms. So then there's another section that isn't using federal funds, and in my opinion, it's best to keep everything in line so that there's no flip-flopping, weirdness. All of the funds we need to be responsible with, whether they're federal, state, taxpayer, or other donations that are given to us externally. So I thought it was best to keep everything in line. That's why we went with that. And it also states in there to be reasonable based on research experience, purchase history, or other information, and maintain documents, which I don't personally maintain all of the documents, but I ensure that all of our staff understand what my expectation is, so that if I call them and say, hey, you just ordered a laminator, you know, what kind of research did you do on that?
Eben, let's see the documentation, come on.
So, I just wanted to read you that there are expectations associated with that amount.
Oh, and I always assumed there would be. But I will make a motion to send it back in, but before, is there a second? Am I alone here?
To what, send it back to policy?
Send it back to policy to look at lower numbers. You're all safe? It's just me who cares about the finances of the district.
Oh, Peter.
I'll make a motion.
So we need to still vote on
I'll
the
make a
policy
motion to
now.
accept
No,
it.
oh yes, now we need a motion to accept the policy, yes.
Okay, so
I
Bree
just
is
did.
making motion for first reading.
First read,
Yeah.
do we have a second? We have a second from Kyle.
You feeling the love from all your friends?
Not the first time I've been there. No, we don't. Oh yeah, discussion on the policy.
I didn't raise my hand, I was gonna say something, but.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's all I had to say.
I was just interfering in board business, don't worry.
Okay.
It's all good.
So now the motion is up for discussion. Joe.
I just want to say, we spent a lot of time talking about those limits, by the way, just putting that out there. It was definitely a primary topic. You could hear some of the logic that was in Gabby's voice. I think there was actually a decent amount of pressure to try to push those down, and I think we did move them down somewhat, if I recall. We landed, I think, in that place after a lot of discussion about this too. So
That was a 3-hour meeting.
It wasn't a flippant.
That was a 3-hour meeting.
Yeah.
All I can do is
No,
ask.
there's no food.
No, there was no food. Not even a snack. Not even a snack.
I blame Teresa.
I'm sorry, I didn't cook anything.
No cookies?
Nothing.
Oh, shoot, I
Got
got
angry.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? I'm gonna stick with it. All those opposed?
You are
Die on that hill.
You are allowed. You don't
All
get
right.
too often. You are allowed.
That takes us to new business, which is an executive session, which seems like we've had before, on the Tri-Town Association Teachers negotiations pursuant to number 1 MRSA subsection 4056D.
I make a motion.
We have a motion from Bree, we have a second from Joe. have all those in favor of going, I assume library?
Library.
All those in favor of going to the library, all those opposed, nobody opposed, we're good.